All right, we're recording. Well, hey, you guys, I'm happy to see y'all tonight. This is going to be our painting, kicking off the Christmas spirit. Fun little snow globe. So as you guys probably know, you can put anything you want in this snow globe. You can put, like a family of snowmen, or just a forest of trees, or a little reindeer, really whatever you want to do. But I'll teach it how it is, okay? So our palette tonight is very simple. It looks like this. We have our black, our white, yellow, red, and green, and just a very little bit of yellow, tiny bit of red and green. We don't really need much of those. And we're going to be using a background brush, so the largest brush you have, a size 7 round and a size 3 round, okay? And I sort of just set my area up. You guys can kind of see, kind of like this. I have my palette here. I have a cup of water, paper towel, and I put my brushes right here. And then my palette kind of just floats around wherever I am, but my canvas is right in front of me here. So I'll give you guys all a minute to kind of get your space set up, get all your paint out of your little tubs. You really don't need to get all of the paint out of your tubs. Those of you who have painted with me before and have picked up a kit, save some of your paint. I always give you more than enough, I think. And so save your paint. That way you can have it for, a future painting or whatever you need. Or if you make a mistake and you just, you want to fix it or whatever it is. So anyway, don't put all your paint out of your tubs, just save some of it, okay? Let's see. Oh, hey, Jody, you made it. I'm so glad. So glad. There you are. All right, well, I was just kind of going over all of our supplies tonight. So I'll show you, Jody, this is what our palette looks like so that you can make a palette similar. I know you have your own supplies, but we have black, and this is white right here, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, and a little bit of green, okay? All right. And so once again, y'all, this is our painting for tonight, okay? The background is going to be all black. There is a little bit of white kind of mixed in there to kind of make it kind of a chalky kind of feel. So I'll go over all of that in a minute or so, but I'm just going to give you guys a few more minutes. We're going to take a break at about 8 o'clock. It's 7:10 right now. At 8 o'clock, we'll take a 5 or 10 minute break, depending. And that way you can run to the restroom or just keep working on a section of our painting. Kind of gives you a moment to kind of catch up. But we should zoom through this painting pretty quickly. There's not a lot of complicated areas. So you'll have plenty of time to kind of work through this and really make it your own. So it should be a lot of fun, okay? So we are using acrylic paint tonight. Now, you guys have heard me say this before, but this brand, for the sake of this class, try not to mix water with it. So don't take your brush, dunk it in your water, and then start mixing it in your paint. This paint tends to be a bit transparent, and if you add water to it, it's going to become even more transparent, and it's going to take a lot longer to dry. And since we're trying to complete a painting in 2 hours, we want our paint to not only be super rich in color, but we want it to dry quickly so that we can move on to our next steps, okay? So avoid mixing water with your paint. When you do wash out your brush, you'll see me do this. I wash it out, and then I just take the paper towel and I just clean it with a paper towel and get all the water off of it, okay? Okay, I'm going to teach this color scheme tonight, but you are more than welcome to make this your own. Like I kind of mentioned before, you can put anything you want in your snow globe, a little family of snowmen or Santa on his sleigh, or whatever it is you want to do. Really, you can make it your own, okay? Okay. Oh, I see you, Jody. Let's see. You're not getting any sound. Okay, in the bottom, let's see, the bottom left-hand side, there is a mute button. See, that mutes you. You might have to go into the settings of your computer and adjust the sound, or if you look on your keyboard, up where the numbers are, above the numbers, you'll see like F1, F2, F3, those kinds of things. You should have a sound, like a little microphone. Mine is on F12, and that makes my sound louder. So maybe look at your keyboard and see if you have a volume adjustment there. Maybe your volume is just turned all the way down. I'm not sure. I don't know that that is something in Zoom. Where if you're not hearing me, it might just be, let's see, I guess I need to type that to her. That would make sense. Okay, hang on, you guys, just a second.
It's April, just so you know, on the where you put the mute on and unmute, there's like a little arrow there, and you have to choose your speakers.
Ah, yeah, I see that. Okay.
I can hear you now.
Ah, you can hear me.
I can hear you now. Sorry.
Yay! All right.
Took me a while.
Great.
Oh my goodness.
Good. Okay, happy to have you. I'm glad you figured it out.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I've been
Okay.
home like 10 minutes. It's like, oh my goodness, running around crazy.
It's okay. We haven't even started yet. We've just gone over the basics, and you already know all of the basics because you've painted with me before. So you are fine. I am going to ask you to go ahead and mute yourself, if you don't mind, in the bottom left-hand screen. If you put your arrow down at the bottom left-hand screen of
where it says mute. Okay.
Yes, just click the mute button. Okay, thank you. That way my voice is heard over everybody's, and during the recording, it'll record my voice over everybody else's if you have any background noise or anything like that. But if you do have a question, which during class, everybody always has questions, just unmute yourself just by clicking on that button. Ask me your question, show me your painting, and we'll work through it together. Okay? And then mute yourself again. We'll just go back and forth that way. Okay, guys? All right, so let's get started. So kind of like I mentioned before, you guys, our background is going to be black, kind of chalky, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my largest brush. I'm going to scooch over here just a little bit. I'm going to take my largest brush here, and I'm going to jump right into my black paint. And I'm just going to start painting my whole canvas black, okay? This will take a little bit of time, but it doesn't matter if you paint crazy up and down, side to side, back and forth, in circles, whatever kind of mood you're in right now, just kind of go for it, okay? Lots of paint, really work it into the texture. It's called the tooth of the canvas. Really just kind of work it in there, okay? Now, every once in a while, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of white, and I'm gonna just kind of work it in, just a little bit. You can do kind of like crisscrosses if you want, hatch marks, whatever, okay? And I'm gonna put some little bit of black right on top of that because I don't want it to be too gray. I still want it to be black, but I kind of want to create this feel of like chalk being smeared, okay? I'm gonna work on my edges too, so I'm just taking black and a little white and I'm just smearing it across my edges, my top edge and my sides. Okay, my bottom and my other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to be covering all of my sides. It's really up to you how chalky you want to make your painting feel. Some people might prefer just like a solid black background. Some people might want it to be really kind of messy. Okay, so that's really up to you what you want to do. So experiment. If you add too much white, don't worry about it. This black will go right on top of that. It'll go right over it. So experiment with how much white you enjoy on your canvas and what that kind of chalky feel is that you want to achieve. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a few moments to get this background painted. And I'm going to paint mine down here, be a little bit easier. You guys can see. You can notice I'm not being careful with my background right now. I'm being very kind of quick, and I'm grabbing a big kind of chunk of paint here, and I'm just smearing it, okay? It is just our background. The background is not a masterpiece. It's nothing. It's just, especially in this painting, you know, it really does get pushed into the background. Okay, I'm grabbing a little bit of white now because my paint is wet. And it's easier to smear that white in there when my paint is wet. I guess I'm almost like creating like a vignette of white, kind of a snowy, chalky feel, kind of more around the edges. I'm not really meaning to do that. That's just kind of what's happening. Edge done. Gotta work on this edge a little bit. Don't worry if you get paint on your hands. That's totally fine. Try not to get it on your clothes though. This paint does like to stain, so be careful. If you do end up getting it on your clothes, what you can do is just run over and get some water and a rag or even a paper towel will do, and press the paint through the texture of the fabric with your rag onto the other side, and just kind of dab out as much as you possibly can. If you get it while it's still wet, you can throw your clothes in the washer and it should come out for the most part, but you got to get it while it's still wet. Okay, so I've got my whole canvas painted black. Now I'm going to go back here and add in a little bit more white. A lot of my white just got really kind of blended in there. I think I'm going to put in a little bit more here than I did in my original painting, just to kind of do something a little different. Don't be afraid to let your brush strokes show. Okay. All right, I'm going to kind of look at this in different light. Okay. Cool. Okay, I think I'm happy with that for now. I'm going to just let that dry. Now, when you see something on your canvas that you like, start to let it dry without adding any more paint to my brush. I'm just going to kind of take my paintbrush and just kind of dab at my canvas here a little bit. Just kind of brush it lightly. And what this is doing is it's picking up any excess paint that I have and helping my canvas dry quicker. Okay, so that might be something that you want to do. Like I said, I did not add any more paint to my brush. I'm just simply kind of sweeping my brush and being very light-handed, kind of like just thinking feathery light thoughts here, and just kind of picking up any excess paint. Okay, I really do, I want that background to dry. Okay. Okay. I'm going to put my brush in my water. Now, when you're done with your background, go ahead and drop your brush in the water. We will not be using that brush anymore tonight, so you can just let it be, okay? If you want to work on getting your canvas dry, you can like do one of these numbers where you kind of wave it and get some of that paint dry. So I'll give you guys a few more minutes to work those backgrounds. Don't forget about your edges, okay? That'll just be really nice craftsmanship. You can hang your painting right up on the wall without having to frame it, or you can give it to somebody, whatever you want to do. Hopefully you'll add it to your Christmas decor when you're done. Everybody getting those backgrounds okay? They looking okay? Okay, good. All the Christmas lights are up on the square tonight. They're so pretty and it's cold outside. Makes me feel like I need some hot chocolate. All right, you guys. So let's move on to the next part here. If your background is not dry, that is okay, okay? It'll kind of work in your favor if it's not dry, because if you start making some marks and you don't like them, you can just blend them right into your background and it's like you never drew them, okay? So another thing about painting on a black background tonight is, you see, we do have a lot of very bold white lines, okay? If you mess up, that is okay. This is super forgiving because you just need to let it dry completely. And then you can take your black paint and you can treat it just like blackout, you know, where you kind of shave off some areas or whatever, paint right on top of it. And it'll be like it never happened. And if you do it quick enough, like right now, if you have a wet black background and you start painting on it and you don't like it, like I was kind of mentioning before, just smear it in, okay? And then it's like it never happened either. So you'll be okay, all right? I don't know if I'll be okay because I'm gonna be painting this to the side here. So mine might be a little bit off, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna scoot you guys in here. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our size 7 brush. Okay, we're gonna be using this guy. And we're gonna sort of lay out, kind of map out our painting here. Okay, gotta hold mine in a not so wet spot here. All right, so I'm just gonna grab some white paint. I just have a little bit on my brush, okay? We're gonna put in the circle because that's gonna be the focal point of our painting, okay? So eyeball about 3 or so inches down, okay? Roughly in the middle, 3 inches down, give or take. It's not, you know, not a big deal. I'm gonna put a little dot right there, okay? So I've got a good space here because I want the word winter to wrap itself around up here when I'm done. And I'm gonna need some space down here for the base of my globe, okay? So I'm going to attempt to draw a pretty round circle, okay? I'm gonna do it kind of looking at it this way so that I can do it pretty well. I'm gonna just tell you right off the bat, you want about an inch and a half on either side here, okay? So when you start drawing it, I like to draw it, you know, kind of the top here. I try to stretch out both sides and go around. Okay, so mine's pretty sketchy and that is okay. Yours can be sketchy too. Look at it and try to carve out a nice round circle. And if your background, the black, is mixing with the white, that is okay. You'll just make a gray circle for now. And there's no big deal, okay? So I'm gonna keep drawing around here until I see that I have a relatively pretty perfect circle. Because what I'm gonna do, you guys see these like feathery areas out to the side? I'm gonna take those away later with black paint, okay? So for right now, I'm just really trying to get that nice round circle. And I'm gonna keep going around and around until I like it. Now it does not have to be as thick as you want it yet. The shape just needs to be there, okay? So I'll show you again up close. You guys see mine is not perfect. You see I have those little wispies still going on. I have some gray blending in, okay? That is okay. Mhm. Okay. All right, so you should have less space at the top than you do at the bottom. Okay? If that's not the case for you, turn your painting upside down. Okay? So see how my circle is more down. So I have, I don't know, I have 2.5 or 3 inches down here roughly. I need to have more space at the bottom. Okay? Does that make sense for everybody? Less space at the top, more space at the bottom. Okay. So once we're there, I'm going to take a little bit more of my white paint here. And now I'm going to start drawing out the banner that's at the bottom. Okay, after I draw my banner, that's when I'm going to put in the base of my snow globe. Okay, so I'll show you where we're at. We just drew our circle. So now we're going to do this banner part. Okay, once I have the banner in, then I'm going to put in the base of my snow globe because it kind of sits behind the banner, right? We're going to break apart this banner. We're just going to do this front part first. Okay, it's just kind of like partially like almost a, like it's like a, I almost want to smile, you know, kind of a slight curve here. Okay. All right. So I would give yourself a little bit of space here, roughly 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, okay? And like I said, I'm gonna draw sort of a partial curve, and it's gonna be the width of my snow globe, okay? So roughly the width of my snow globe. So I'm gonna kind of, see here, come down a little bit. I'm gonna slightly curve this line, okay? Right under my snow globe. I'm gonna draw the same line parallel to this a little bit further down. Now you need to have enough space here to write the word Wonderland, so that can be as wide as you want, okay? But allow for a little bit of room down here for the base of your snow globe to kind of stick out, okay? So I've got to look at mine this way here. I'm gonna draw that out just a little bit more. So I like to kind of come down in the middle here. So I'm gonna come right about here, okay? Then I'm going to draw this line as parallel as I can. Okay. Now remember, we have a black background. So if you make a mistake, that's okay. I'm going to connect these with a slight, not straight down, it's just a slight outward curve. A slight outward curve. See that? Now, once you have that shape, I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of time to do that. I want you to thicken it up like we thickened our circle, okay? So I'm going to thicken my edges here. In fact, I'm going to do this down here so you can watch me do it, but I need to sit flat and do it. I'm going to thicken up my edge. A little more paint. You want a nice smooth line. So I'm just kind of rocking my hand back and forth here. I'm not applying a super heavy amount of pressure. trying to be as smooth as I can. Now remember, if you get too thick somewhere, like I'm watching myself, I'm getting a little thick in some areas. When my white paint dries, I'm going to go back with some black and fix that up. But for now, I'm looking okay. If you feel like you get too much white paint on your brush because you keep going back for it, what I like to do when that happens is I just roll my brush on my palette like this and pull away. And that wipes off all the paint for me, and it also leaves me with a nice point on my brush, which is super helpful, especially for this next part. Okay? How are you guys doing so far? Okay? You still with me? Okay. All right, let me move you guys closer. Okay. So for this next part, we're gonna create the banner that's going into the background that sort of waves back, okay? So I'm gonna start on this side, okay? Now watch how I do it and then try to do it, okay? I'm gonna start in this corner, this upper corner right here. I'm gonna curve in and out, okay? So watch how I do it. I'm gonna curve up and in, and I'm gonna swerve it out. Curved up and in, and kind of flipped my wrist outward to get that sort of elongated S shape. Okay, now it's all fine and good if you can do that on one side, but now you have to do it on the other side, okay? So I'm gonna come inward, curve up and out. Oh, not bad.
You still have the 7 brush?
I do.
Okay.
If you need to switch down to your 3, go for it. If you feel like you have more control, by all means, go for it. I have my 7 because I'm working on making my lines really nice and thick, and I just feel like I can do that better with my 7. But your 3 is just as good. Okay, so I'm gonna thicken up those lines here. You want them to be the same thickness as your banner in the front here, because it's all one shape. Okay? Okay. So now I'm gonna come back over here, and I'm gonna create the edge of my ribbon, okay? So I'm gonna kind of come down, I don't know, not maybe about the middle of my ribbon, give or take. And I'm just gonna kind of curve up and outward here, okay? And then I'm gonna create an arrow inward. Okay, so I kind of curved up and outward right about here. And then I'm making that arrow, that point coming inward. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and I'm gonna eyeball going across so I have it on the same spot. So I'm gonna come across here. Okay, it's roughly right about here. I'm gonna come up and outward. Okay. Okay. There's our banner. I think that was the hardest part of the whole painting. And you did it. Now there is a little part right here that comes down. I'm gonna draw a little line from the top of this part down, okay? And I'm just gonna lightly fill this in so that it's kind of gray. So I didn't add any more paint. I'm just gonna lightly fill that area in, okay? Kind of gray. Okay. So I'm going to wipe off or wash off all the white off of my brush now. I'm gonna clean up my circle, okay? So I'm cleaning my brush. I'm getting all the water off, especially off of that metal part. And I'm gonna get a little bit of black paint, and I'm just gonna look at my circle now. And I'm gonna clean up my edges here. So I'm just gonna take my black paint because I know my circle is nice and dry. I know my background is nice and dry. I'm just gonna clean it up. Get rid of all those wispies. The wispies might not bother you. And if they don't, you can go ahead and just leave them. That could just be your the style you're going for. After I go around with the black here, I am gonna go back after that dries with some white and just make it really nice and crisp and white. I really want it to pop. And right now mine is kind of gray because my background was a little bit still wet. Yours probably was too. Okay. When you get done cleaning this up, you will probably still have a kind of a wonky circle. I do, at least. But when you go back over it with that white to really make it pop, everything will get nice and crisp for you there too, so it'll be okay. I have black on my brush, and I'm gonna dip right into my white right here, and I'm just gonna make a little bit of a gray. And I'm gonna go into these areas that are right here that are kind of the shadow of my banner and just get them gray. Okay, right in there and right in there. Add a little dimension there. Okay. I'm gonna wash off all the black and gray off of my brush, and I'm gonna give you guys a minute, okay, to kind of get caught up and get everything kind of going. This is where I'm at right now. My circle's, you know, still a little wonky, but there, okay, you can see the gray parts of my banner, just that little shadow back there, okay. Just gonna go in with a little bit of white and brighten up my circle while you guys are working on yours. Okay. Are you guys doing okay with that banner and everything kind of coming out? Okay, good. Y'all just let me know if you have questions. Okay. Looks good, Diane. Perfect. Jody, it looks great. Good job. All right, you guys. So let's paint in the base of our snow globe. Okay. So you're gonna take your white paint, and I still have my number 7. Now you can jump to your 3, whatever you wanna do. I'm gonna get a little bit of white paint on here. And I'm gonna draw 2 lines coming out from the bottom of my globe that are kind of going outward. Okay, so my first one kind of gonna come outward like so. Try to do it evenly. I gotta look at it for a second. My other one's gonna be right about here, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I'm drawing my 2 lines. Once you have them where you want them, you can thicken them up a little bit. Okay, and then you're gonna pull them out from the other side of your banner. So pretend like you are drawing straight through your banner, but don't actually. Okay, straight down, extend that line and come out. Extend that line and come on out. It's a little off. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna round it out at the bottom here a little bit. So this line is perpendicular to your banner also. Or I'm sorry, parallel. It's not perpendicular, it's parallel. If it's perpendicular, we have an issue. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to take a look at mine a little bit closer. Thicken up my line a little bit here. Now when I'm using my 7, I'm not pressing very hard with it unless I'm trying to really make a thick line, okay? So light amount of pressure gets me a lighter line, okay? Okay. Okay. All right. I think we're off to a really good start here. Are you guys doing okay, or do you need a minute? 1 minute? Okay. You don't need to wash your brush yet. So keep your white brush and keep your 7. Okay. Oh, let's see. All right, y'all, let's start working on the inside of our snow globe. Okay, so take a look, decide if you want to do what I'm painting, or if you want to add a couple more snowmen, or maybe you just want to do a couple of trees. Maybe one of your trees will have lights on it. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do. You could put like a little snowman couple or a snowman family, whatever. Okay. We're gonna start with the this kind of snowy hills that are across the bottom here. So I still have my size 7. I'm gonna jump right into that white paint here. And I'm gonna come across the bottom here and just kind of give myself 2 little hills. I'm gonna come right in here and kind of wisp on down like so. And I'm gonna do another one right behind it. So I'm going to grab a little bit of black paint on my brush here. I have a little bit of black and a little bit of white. It's gonna make a gray, and I'm gonna fill this in, this bottom hill here. I'm gonna be careful of my nice white edge, or my white round globe part. I don't wanna paint over that. So I'm gonna bring my gray right up to it. Okay, so I've got gray in there. I'm gonna do my other hill just the same. But I'm gonna try to keep this white highlight I have here for my first hill. I'm not gonna paint gray over that. Okay. And you can be expressive with your paint strokes. You do not have to be nice and neat and polished here. You can see your brush strokes, okay? There's mine. Now I'm just gonna kind of wipe that gray off on my paper towel. I'm not gonna wash my brush, but I'm gonna wipe off that gray, and I'm gonna jump into some good old white. And while my gray is still kind of wet, I'm gonna really give some white snowy highlights here on my snow. So I'm gonna be really thick and bold with my brush. Okay, see how I did that? That gray is just peeking through. See the difference between this snowy hill and this one? I'm gonna do the same thing to my back hill, only I'm gonna treat it a little bit differently. I'm gonna do my white top here, just kind of come in. Okay. I really want this line to divide my hills. Okay. Now we get to build a snowman. So you're gonna wanna decide where you want your snowman to be. I'm gonna build mine right here on this hill. You just wanna make sure wherever you put him, you don't wanna put him too close to the edge because you need room for like a wisping scarf and his hat, okay? So I'm gonna just draw my 3 circles. I'm gonna draw my first circle down here at the bottom. My next circle on top isn't gonna be quite as big. And then my head. Okay. And now I like I like the black kind of showing through. My black background is kind of showing through on my snowman because it gives the snow kind of depth. It looks like the circles, they're actual snowballs, you know, instead of just flat circles. So you can decide if you want to add more or less white paint to that, but I'm going to leave mine the way they are because I like that kind of swirly feel. I'm swirling inward with my brush and I like that effect. But that is up to you. Okay. So I still have this white on my brush, and I'm actually gonna take this white and I'm gonna add a little more, and I'm gonna go into my green. And I'm gonna mix my white and green together. You can mix any light green you want. It can be super, super light, or it can be really close to the original shade, whatever you want. I'm gonna mix kind of 50-50. I like a nice light green. I think it pops really well against the black background. Okay. I'll show you what my green looks like. Gotta see. Here's my green. And then since you're mixing a color, your brush is probably going to be kind of gobby. So I just roll mine in the color and I pull away. Okay, especially with a size 7. You're going to get some gobs. You know, I said I was going to add more of that sort of chalkboard feel, but when my paint dried, it actually, not a lot of my white showed up. So I might go back and add more of that chalky feel in the background. All right, does everybody have their green ready? Okay. All right, so let's start on our trees. I love doing trees like this. It's just like a flick of the wrist over and over again, okay? So you wanna kind of figure out where you're gonna want your trees to be. I'm gonna do one main large one here and then one littler one sort of in the background a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna kind of map out where I want my tree to go first by drawing the top part of it. So let's see, I'm gonna kind of come down and out like so, where I can see the top part of my tree is gonna be. And then I'm just gonna kind of come down and kind of get a little bit wider as I go until I get to the bottom there like so. Okay, so once I kind of have that little map there for me, I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna kind of add in a couple more little branches and I'm gonna be really quick. So the reason why I want you to be quick is because your wrist will sort of flick a little bit. See if I can get you close enough to see this. And you'll get these really nice, just quick little marks. Okay, go ahead and get right down in on your snow. Now notice I have that sort of black line that's coming down the middle of my tree. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of a lighter green here, just a little bit. And now I'm gonna pull right down the middle, out to the sides, in the middle, out to the sides. Now see that lighter green? I'm dabbing it all around here. It's making it look like I have this other dimension to my tree. You see that? So now you're pulling left to right and front ways. And if you really want to get crazy, now I just have the straight green, the regular green that doesn't have any white mixed into it. And I can even add another level of dimension here. Now you can go back and forth with this all day. You can add as much or as little as you want here. The trick really is going to be try not to overblend. When you put your mark down, let it be, okay? If you start to overblend, you'll just start getting like green mush, okay? Now I'm going to show you the difference between this tree and the tree in my original painting. Now this tree that I just did, I added that dark green versus this tree is kind of the opposite. I added more of that light green. Now don't worry about those white highlights yet, we're not there. Okay, but here's the difference in the trees. Try to get them more side by side. So you can kind of see. Okay, so you can play with your tree a little bit here. I am going to put in our other little tree in the background, and then we're going to take a break. So you can keep painting and catch up during the break. We can take probably have time for a 10-minute break, okay? And you can play with your trees a little bit more, whatever it is that you want to do. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing, you guys. I'm going to come into the background, and I'm going to paint a smaller tree, lower, more aligned with my snowman, okay? I'm going to come down, fill it in, just same as before. Okay, add a little bit of that darker green down the middle, out to the sides. Okay, I'm really letting my brush strokes show. That's really key here. Okay, I'm going to add in a little bit of that light green. Okay. You can even add a little bit of white to your brush if you want to. It almost makes the trees look a little bit like they have snow on them. That's cute. Okay. Okay. Did anybody have any questions about trees or anything at all before we take our break? It is exactly 8 o'clock right now, so we'll break until maybe 8:10. I think we can probably do. We have our words left to do and just some little details, some snowflakes. Okay, so I'll show you where we're at and where we're going. Okay. So I'll put up that picture while we take our break too, so you can watch it and look at it and see what you need to do. But did anybody have any questions before we take our break? If you do, you're more than welcome to unmute and ask away or show me your painting if you need any pointers. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I will see you in 10 minutes. You're also welcome to send me a picture of your painting on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger. If you're having an area you want help troubleshooting, just let me know, okay? All right, guys, I'll see you in 10. All right, you guys. How's everybody doing? Is it going okay for you? Oh, it looks great, Natalie. I love the little lights. Vicky, great trees. Nice and vibrant. I love your wispies. Cool. Okay. Let's take a look
I
here.
added glitter to my snow too.
You did. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. How fun. That'll be cute. You could even add it. You added it to the snow down in here. Yeah, you could even, when we do our snowflakes, you could add a little touch all around. Super cute. Okay. Oh, Gloria, it looks wonderful. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, you guys. I love snow globes. Okay. All right, you guys, let me check my messages real quick. I think I have something here. Let me give everybody a moment to kind of get back. Okay. All right, you guys. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in our snowman details and some of our snowflakes. We'll add in these little crazy guys around here, these little decorations, and then we'll work on our words, and then we'll just put some snow in the background, okay? All right, so our snowman can be whoever you want him to be, or she. You can put on a little scarf or hat, any color, you know, whatever you want to do here. I'm gonna take my size 3 brush first. Okay, let me bring this back up for you guys here. Hold on. Here we are. That's better. I'm gonna take my size 3 brush and put a little white paint on it. And out to the side of my snowman, I'm gonna paint where my scarf is gonna be. So I'm kind of wisping upward here. Okay, you see that little line? I got one little wispy line that way, and I'm one kind of coming down this way. Okay, so it looks like my snowman's scarf is swaying in the wind, but I want to paint it with white first because that way my red will really pop. It won't pop when I paint it on the black background. Okay. And so on that note, while we're here, I'm going to also take white paint and I'm going to come across the bottom of my snow globe base with the white paint, and I'm just going to kind of scribble it across the bottom here because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint it red, but I want that red to really pop. Okay. So this is the sort of feel that it's going to have. You see how it's kind of scribbled in there? If you don't like that and you want your whole snow globe base to be red, just paint the whole shape white right now. And then you can go over it with red. You don't have to be scribbly if you don't like that effect, okay? So I'm gonna be scribbly. So I'm just starting kind of in a corner here. Okay. It kind of has that sort of chalkboard feel, right? Okay. All right. I'm gonna roll the gobs of paint off of my brush. And I'm gonna go in with a nice point into my white paint, and I'm gonna draw in a little top hat. Okay, I'm gonna try not to set my hand right into my wet paint. I can't make any promises here. So if you can see this, I'm just gonna draw a little line, a straight little line across the top of his head. You can kind of see that? Okay. I'm doing it really lightly because I'm not confident yet. Okay, straight little line. Here, I'm gonna draw it a little bit more bold so you can really see it. Okay, I'm gonna come up on each side here. Okay, come over a little bit on either side, and then draw in that top part of his hat. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off that white paint, but I'm gonna keep a nice point on my brush, so if you need to roll your brush, you can. I'm gonna put in 2 little eyes. With my black paint. Okay. Now before I do my smile, which I'm really tempted to do because I have black paint on my brush, I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna wash the black off of my brush, and I'm gonna take a moment here and I'm going to mix a little bit of my red and my yellow and some white together to make a nice little carrot orange, okay? So I'm gonna take some white and I'm gonna bring it right in between my yellow and my red. Now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of red here because red's super, super powerful, and a big chunk of yellow. And I just need a little bit of orange. I don't need much. I need enough to draw a carrot. Okay. You will definitely need more orange than you need red. Maybe 2 or 3 parts yellow, 1 part red, 1 part white. Maybe 2 parts white, I'm not sure. Okay, once you have that orange, you can roll your brush. Get a nice point. And I'm gonna paint in my carrot and then give you guys a moment to do it, because I know it takes a minute to mix that color. But I wanted to do it next, right after I did my eyes, before I do my smile, because that'll tell me how much space I have to do my smile, okay? So I'm just gonna paint in the tiniest little triangle. Right in between those eyes. And you know, if the triangle, the nose is not showing up, let it dry and just do one more coat. Okay. Get it nice and bold. There we go. I'm going to clean off that orange and give you guys just a minute to kind of catch up there. Okay, guys. I'm gonna jump into a little red here and I'm gonna paint in my scarf. I'm just gonna paint right on top of the white, but I'm gonna come right into my neck and just draw a little line there. If you wanna leave a little white as an outline, you can. You don't have to. Remember, if you're having a hard time getting a point on your brush, keep rolling it on your palette. Okay, that'll help. And while we even have this red on our brush, we may as well go down here and paint in the red part of our snow globe base. My white peeks through a little bit and I'm fine with that. Kind of has that chalkboardy feel. Okay. When you're done with that red part, you can go ahead and wash your brush. The last thing that we're gonna do for our snowman is paint in his little smile. So once you have a clean brush, it just is just a couple little dots. I might do one more here. It's cute. All right, y'all, I'm gonna give you a moment to catch up. I know that was a lot of steps. I'm gonna plug in my computer real quick. Okay. How's everybody doing? Good. Do you guys all have your Christmas trees up already or not yet? Yes. Yeah, all across the board. All right, we do too. Oh, pretty Natalie. Not Gloria. Not yet.
I'll leave mine up to Epiphany, so I don't usually put it up to the middle.
Yeah, there you go. My kids would not let a day go by after Thanksgiving. They're like, we gotta go. Because they see the lights downtown and they're like, all right, it's go time. It's Christmas. No more messing around, Mom. Let's do this. And I agree. Let's do it. So we went and we got ours and we put it up. All right. So I think that is it for color for the rest of our painting. Okay. We're going to use our size 3 for the rest of the painting as well. And we're going to do some little snowflakes. Let's go ahead and just do those next. We'll do our snowflakes and then we'll do some of our little decorative details that kind of go around our globe. Then we'll do our words. Okay. And then we'll do our background snow. Okay. So I have my size 3 brush. I'm going to go into my white paint here. I'm going to roll my brush so that I have a nice point because I really want a nice point when I'm doing these snowflakes. Okay. Okay. So the way I make a snowflake is we have 2 that are going to be in our snow globe. I'm going to put one of mine right here and one of mine right here. Same as our trees, we have one big tree, one little tree. I'm going to do a big snowflake here and a little one here. Or maybe I'll actually do my big one over here and my little one over here. I don't know. Do them wherever you want to do them, okay? This is how I do a snowflake, okay? I'm going to start right over here. And I just do a simple crisscross. And I'm pressing very lightly, so I'm getting a nice thin mark. Okay, so I make an X. And then because this is so tiny, I'm just going to come down one time through here. You could go again if you want to, right through the middle. Up to you. But then on the end of all of my crisscrosses, I make little V's. Okay. And then I go in for another layer and I do it again. Some of them end up connecting. And see, that makes me want to do another one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that last guy right there. There we go. Okay, then you got a snowflake. You can do as many of these as you want. I guess that one kind of ended up being my big one. It's hard to paint tiny. I'm going to try over here. I'm going to go tinier. You just want them to be 2 different sizes. And if you don't feel like you can get that detailed as we did with our big one thing you can do is just do the ends, where you just do the little V's at the very tip of the snowflakes, or at the points of the snowflake. Okay. But of course, if you're feeling ambitious, you can get right in there. Add your little points. Okay. And then once you have those guys, you can take your brush and you can just dot some little snow flurries falling down. Now, y'all have heard me say this before, but when you do this, try not to put your dots in a pattern. Try to put them in kind of quickly so that you don't think about them. Okay, because if you start putting them in a pattern and then you mess up your eye, will forever go back to that spot where you messed up, okay? You can also play with your different thicknesses of your snow flurries. So if you press hard, you'll get a thick dot. If you lightly press, you'll get a thin dot, okay? So you can play that way too. And I do recommend when you're putting in a dot to go straight in on your canvas. Don't come at an angle like this, because if you come at an angle, you'll get more of a line or a dash. But if you can come straight in, okay, then you'll get a really nice round dot. And that is your goal, okay? While I'm here, I'm gonna take a little bit of white paint and I'm gonna add some accents to my tree. I'm gonna sweep right across the top here with some white paint. And right on the other side here. Maybe a few of my other little branches, okay? Gives it a nice little highlight. And then on my little tree too. Okay, really helps them kind of pop out a little bit. Okay, and that is it for your snow globe until we do we're gonna do a little glare on it, but we gotta wait for everything to dry. All right, so still continuing with the white paint. I'm gonna get more on my brush, but I'm gonna roll my brush. Right out here, we have some little swirly guys. Okay, so I have 3. I'm gonna do my first one coming from this point right in here. Okay, where my snow globe and my banner kind of almost touch. I'm gonna come up from that point and swirl. And if you can fit another one, a smaller one right under that. And then if you want to do another one on top of that, you can. I think I'm going to let mine just have 2 for this painting, but I'll show you this painting has 3. Okay. 2 and 3. So you can decide what works best for your composition. Okay. Then you got to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And then out here, down at the bottom here, we have these little expressive marks that just kind of just are just fun. And it's just a little pull right there with 2 on the side. And then another one on this side, just a little pull. And then one on either side. Okay. Okay, so at this point, our snow globes should be pretty dry. We can go in and put in the glare. Okay, so you'll notice on this painting, you see these white lines. Okay, they're kind of off to the sides here. This one goes a little bit over the snowman. Okay, so you might have to be okay with painting on top of your snowman just a little bit and on top of your tree just a little bit, but it'll really help make it look like your snowman and your trees are inside of the globe. Okay, so same thing, white paint, roll your brush a little bit so that you have that nice point. And I'm just gonna draw a line that kind of follows the curve of my globe. That's really important that you follow the curve of your globe. And I'm gonna draw 2 lines here, one shorter one and then one longer one. And this is gonna overlap a little bit of my snowman, and I'm okay with that, okay? All right, and then I have 3 up at the top here. I'm gonna do one short one a little bit longer, and then a third one. They're all sort of ending, you know, a little bit past each other here. Something like that. Okay. And then our last 2 are going to be over on this side down here. We got one that kind of curves around here at the bottom. And then one more. Okay. Okay. Give you guys a moment there. So the last thing is going to be, well, the second to last thing is going to be our words. And I am going to do this with a paintbrush. If you have a paint pen, you are more than welcome to do this with a paint pen. But I'm going to do it with a brush tonight so I can walk it through it with you guys. If you have a paint pen, you can go ahead and just write them in like with your normal handwriting. But I'm going to go ahead and teach the lettering, okay? Okay. So we're going to start with winter, and I'm going to show it to you so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about when I say, I'm going to probably make up words here, but like the curve here, the points, the curve. We have a little twinkle for an eye, and I'm writing in a cursive, okay, but I'm going to treat each letter like a shape, not a letter. Okay, our T, our E, our R, and our swirl. Okay, and then this guy. So if you're able, I would pull this painting up, whether it be on your phone or if you have like an extra iPad or something. Pull this painting up off of the Humble Life page, Facebook page, so you have it next to you. That way, you know, you can cross-reference me doing it live right now, but then also you can watch what letter is going to come next. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take white paint. I have my number 3 brush. I'm going to roll it so that I have a really nice point here. Okay. And I'm going to start, you know, let's see, in between 10 and 11 o'clock-ish, maybe closer to 11 o'clock-ish, okay? But you want to sort of kind of write it out without painting so that you can have it nicely framed. The W and the R, you know, will be roughly even, you know, and that can be really tricky to do. Not gonna lie. Okay, but the best thing to do with things like this, honestly, is really just to start it. Now, the thing you can trick is like if your R ends up being like too close, you can make this swirly longer and come out, you know, so that it actually fills up the space better, okay? Or maybe you just don't care. Or if your R ends up going too far, you can extend your W's little swirly out a little bit farther, okay? So there's ways to kind of fool the eye, okay? All right, well, let's just go ahead and get started. Now, I'm gonna do my best to do this out to the side. I'm used to painting this way, okay? So this is gonna be a challenge for all of us. Okay. All right, so let's start with our W. Okay, so I'm just gonna paint just kind of a regular W at first. Okay, I'm gonna come in with the bottom, just a regular old W here. Okay, kind of sitting on my globe. Okay. Once I have that, I'm gonna kind of thicken it up. Paint a little bolder here. Okay, and I'm gonna add my little frilly guy. So I'm gonna come up and around. That needs to be one motion. Start at the bottom of your W and just come right up and swirl around, okay? You're gonna do the same thing out to the side here. I'm gonna come to the side here. I'm gonna come out to the bottom, and I'm gonna come up, and I'm gonna pull that out and around. Okay, so that's one motion. Okay, now you want this W's arm to come up and come up high because we're going to be putting in an I right here, and we need room for a little snowflake to go on top of that. Okay, now remember guys, these do not have to be perfect because this is black paint that we're painting on, and if we mess up, you can go back in with that black paint just like we did with our globe, and you can make it better. Okay, all right, moving right along here. I'm gonna come in with my eye. So I'm gonna start at the bottom here and I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna align the top of my eye underneath my arm of my W, and I'm gonna come straight down, okay? So I'm curving up, I'm coming straight down. Okay, let's see if I can pull you closer. All right, I'm gonna move on to my N. Okay, so I've come straight down, so I'm gonna angle up, okay? And then I'm gonna come straight down. I'm gonna curve over to make my N. I'm keeping my curve kind of tight here because I know that I still have a T, E, and an R to fit here, okay? My N. Okay, so I've come straight down, so now I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna curve up for my T. Okay, my T is gonna be tall. Your T can take up a lot of space. And I'm not gonna open up my T until I get down to the bottom here. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna curve around for my E. So I've come down. Now my E is just a little swirl here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to angle it so you can see. Okay. I'm gonna thicken that up a little bit here. Okay, and now for my R. So I'm gonna come up, grab a little more paint, come down over, and I'm gonna come down. Now before I swirl out, I'm gonna look at it from a distance and see if my swirl needs to be big to pull the weight of winter over, or if I'm just gonna keep it nice and tight because I'm pretty where I need to be. And I think I'm pretty close to where I need to be. So I'm not gonna be crazy with my swoop-de-swoo here, or my swirly swirl, or whatever it is. Told you I make up words, okay? I'm gonna swirl around, okay? Now I'm gonna take back a look and I'm gonna thicken up anything like my eye. I'm gonna do another coat here. I haven't done the cross for my T yet. But just take it one letter at a time and treat them like shapes. Okay, if that makes sense. Don't treat them like letters. Break them down into their shapes, into their curves, okay? it will help your brain paint them more beautifully than if you were just to write them. And don't forget, it's okay to mess up. Okay, we're painting on black. It's so very easy to paint over the area that you messed up on and fix it up, okay? So you don't need to put a ton of pressure on yourself to make it absolutely perfect, okay? Because however you do it, it's gonna be great. Okay, so right now I'm just coming in and I'm just thickening up some of my letters. You wanna be careful if you're thickening up, not to go too far, but we do want them to be nice and bold, just as bold and as white as our snow globe is, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna paint my T, the cross on my T. So I'm just gonna swirl up, over, and around, okay? Up, over, and around, and under, okay? I'm gonna thicken that guy up a little bit. And then I'm gonna draw in my little snowflake for my eye. Okay, and it's just a little crisscross. So I have an X, then I come down and over, and I'm not adding anything fancy to that guy. Okay, and that is my winter. Every time I do something like that, I'm always like, oh man, did I misspell that? I need to go back. But luckily, I think I spelled it okay. How's everybody's winter going, okay? You look like you're concentrating. That's good. Good, okay. Now, in my opinion, Wonderland is harder. The winter, even though it's cursive, to me it's easier because it's so flowy and fluid. Just fixing up my eye here. To me, the Wonderland is kind of hard, but we'll get there in a minute. I'll let you finish the winter. So when you're done with winter, you can go ahead and you can take your brush, if you're waiting. If you're not waiting, don't worry about this. You can do this at the end, but you can start putting in little dots for your snow. And remember, you really want to come in straight with your brush. You just put in little dots wherever you want. Try really hard not to put them in a pattern. And practice pressing hard and pressing light so you get lots of different weights of snow. But you can do this part at the end as well. If you're waiting to do the Wonderland, then you can go ahead and do this. But if you're still working on your winter, don't worry about it. Don't rush. Okay? Whew. All right, you guys. So I'm just gonna wipe off the white off on my paper towel, get kind of a nice point here, and get ready for this Wonderland, okay? Let's see, bring you back. Okay. So when I do, when I paint a print, I write it out first, okay? And then I'll go back and really thicken it up. When I do a cursive, I'm a lot more confident, and so I can kind of go through that quickly. Now, if you're nervous about fitting the word Wonderland in here, you can go and get a pencil or a white gel pen or anything. A pencil is fine, and you can write it out, okay? And then you can paint over it. The only thing I'm going to caution you with is the graphite of the pencil will mix with the white paint, and it will turn it gray. And that's okay. Just let it be and let it dry completely, and then you can go over it with a few layers of white paint, and you will you'll get rid of that gray. Okay. But if you're just going to jump right into this with me, here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to paint my W and my D first. Okay. So that I can know that I have to fit all the rest of my letters in here. Okay. So I'm going to start with my W, and I'm going to keep everything kind of close and tight together because I have a big word that I have to fit in a small space. Okay. Okay. So here I go. I'm going to start with my W, and I'm just going to write this really thin and really light at first. Okay, so there's my W. And this is not as bold or as big as I'm gonna want it to be, okay? Now I'm gonna do my D over here. Really thin, really light, using a small amount of paint here. I'm using the very tip of my brush, okay? I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do my O. Out of all the letters, the O is the only one that can take up the most, that can only take, how do I say this? The O will take up the most space, and it should be the only letter that does take up that amount of space. All your other letters, even your D, need to be more narrow, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna go back over here and I'm gonna paint in my N. So I'm going back and forth, okay? I'm gonna paint in my N. And I'm not painting them perfectly. I'm just mapping it out, okay? I'm not painting them perfectly. I'm just getting them on there so I can see it. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to this N. So my W-O-N is painted and my N-D is painted. Okay. Now I'm gonna go paint an A on the other side here. Okay, A. A's have a tendency to want to be wide, so be careful. Okay, so now I have 3 letters on both sides, and I need to fit 4 letters here. Okay, so I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to see, okay, 1, D, E, R, L. I kind of just write it in my brain to make sure that I can fit it, and it looks like I'm going to be able to. Now, if it's looking a little tight for you, you can keep going back and forth or just try to get really nice and narrow, okay? But I'm just gonna kind of go for it. So I'm gonna get my D, E, R, L. Okay, I got all my letters in there. Okay, they're all nice and capital, caps, all caps. That's hard to say. So now that I've got them, I'm gonna go back with my brush and I'm just gonna thicken everybody up. Okay, make them nice and bold, but I'm not gonna make them as bold as my winter or my globe, but I am gonna make them nice and thick, okay? It's a bigger word in a smaller space. So if you were to make it as thick, it wouldn't fit, okay? I don't know if you can see, I'll try to angle it so you can see. My hand's probably in the way. Always go back and double check. Make sure you spelled it correctly. You're not missing a letter. That's the worst. And always too, keep going back for fresh paint and rolling your brush. Okay, it's really good to just have nice fresh paint every time you start a letter. We'll make it nice and smooth. It's worth it to do. It'll look better. Okay, almost there. Okay. All right. We did it. So if you haven't done the white dots for your snow in the background, you can go ahead and do that. Oh, it looks great, Natalie. Super cute. Super cute. Oh, Jody, it's awesome. Awesome. Super cute, Vicki. Your trees are so much fun. They're so happy. So here is tonight's painting. Here's the other painting that we copied. Okay, so you can see they're different. Same painter. Okay. You guys, we did great on time. It is exactly 9 o'clock on the dot. At least over here it is. Gloria, that looks awesome. I love your snowflakes. So if you guys have any issues with any part of your painting, feel free to take a picture and send it to me, and I can kind of troubleshoot with you, look at that area with you, and help you figure out how we can make it better. But send me a picture either way. I love to see how they came out, and love to look at your hand in painting and see how it worked for you. So please do just send me a picture of your final painting. I would love to see it. We are going to be having a class next Wednesday, and then we're going to have one the following Wednesday. So we have 2 more Christmas paintings for sure before Christmas. We may or may not do one on the 23rd, which is the week of Christmas, that Wednesday, right before Christmas. So that one's kind of up in the air, but we are doing at least 2 more. One of them, I believe, is going to be some kind of a wreath or some kind of a round something with, you know, poinsettias and all that, mistletoe maybe or something. And the other one is going to be a nativity scene. Okay, so I don't know which one's next. It's just going to kind of depend on what I can get done tonight and how they come out. Okay, well, it was a pleasure having you guys. I love painting with y'all. I'm happy that we're doing this. So just go ahead and wash your brushes. It's just take them out of their jar or whatever you have them in tonight. Wash them under warm water until the water runs clear, and then just lay them on a paper towel. Don't leave them in your cup over water. That will bend the bristles and make it hard on the next person that gets to use those brushes, okay? So just lay them on a paper towel to dry, and they are good to go. Bring them back by the shop whenever you get a chance. And thank you. Oh, Diane, that's wonderful. It turned out great. Y'all are excellent at lettering. Way to go, you guys. That's awesome. You should be proud. All right, bye, you guys. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for coming.
cheated. I used my pen for Wonderland and then I went back over it with the fine one.
That's totally fine. Yeah, that's what the paint pen is for. Absolutely.
Thanks, bye.
Welcome. Bye, Diane. It turned out great. Bye, Gloria.
Hey,
Bye.
Mom.
Tiffany.
This looks good.
Thank you. See ya.
Yeah.
So cute. All right. Good night, you guys.
Good night.